Then we'll get started. We have our candidates up on the stage, obviously. Each one of them will have 3 minutes to do opening remarks and an introduction. At that point, we will have our moderator ask questions. We did receive a number of questions, and those are ready to go. So our moderator will then ask the question. The candidate will have 3 minutes to answer that question, and then we will ask the next candidate a question. Following the time of the questions for the candidates, we will then have closing remarks. Each candidate will again have 3 minutes for their closing remarks. And then when that is finished, we will open it up to maybe some questions from you or some meet and greet time where you can come and talk to the candidates one-on-one and individually. So at this time, I would like to introduce Terry Dayish. He is on the board of directors for Four Corners Economic Development, and he is also on the board of directors for the Four Corners Clean Energy Alliance. And he is going to start us this evening with a prayer and invocation. So thank you, Mr. Dayish.
Yeah, so Kodoshi, first I want to say welcome to everybody. On behalf of Four Corners Economic Development, Four Corners Clean Energy Alliance, and the Chambers of Commerce of Farmington. So these entities, they focus on economic and energy development for the region, creating good paying jobs for the region, and they're a diverse workforce, and we want to keep it that way. And I also want to say that the building that you're in is a historic building, Totah Theater. They call it Totah Theater, but Totah. All the 3 rivers that join together, we have the Animas, the La Plata, and the San Juan rivers. So Aro kodo yaha shitol ad, kodoshi yaha altain gitche dahdisni shitech do she betahinsle. Aro hoshka zo bashishin do tachini dashe na kreden le dashnale. Ado sane bili nash enigi do ban khalchne. Adon ke nale kedon ke tsoke. Akode keda huide totrade. Akodon deilin sto akroda niltra. Ot ado le isya hol so hol yene le trote. Ade yachishne ke da nile. She huissa ade ichishne ke. Ado hatate kin tate loke kin tanasta. Ade sto beniyol do tada hayaje hol ye. Ade do howan ba da hilya ho disjide. Ota yan gece das si dole ko ade ngaso khegi yat la so le la ho he la da hoda ni le ade queen has town konden he ani la so le asha hida khadia feel good today. This is a good day. Jonon da has Need Ashi Benti Trahara Hot Etole. Aro Quakin Hatahos, Agido Edo Hehe. I'm sure there's a leadership here. I think it falls under the Civic Center. Oko Hoteho, Yaha, Nihicha Sidole. Ado Yakodoshi Yahata di Nito Iso to the Ziniki, Ebinach Dole, Jean Hotele. Thank you.
This evening was hosted by the Farmington Chamber of Commerce, Four Corners Economic Development, and also the SBDC, which stands for the Small Business Development Center. So I just want to recognize Carmen Martinez. So Carmen, if you would stand. She is the executive director of the SBDC. and is also the board chair of the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. And we were honored to be a part of it, and we're looking forward to this evening and to hearing from all of the candidates. At this time, I would like to welcome City Councilwoman and Mayor Pro Tem Linda Rogers for some welcome and opening remarks.
Well, good evening. On behalf of the City of Farmington, I extend a warm welcome to everyone gathered here for the Navajo Nation Presidential Candidate Forum. My name is Linda Rogers, and I have the honor of serving the City of Farmington as City Councilor for District 1, as well as the Mayor Pro Tem of Farmington. It's a privilege for our community to host an event that carries such great purpose, vision, and hope for the future of the Navajo Nation. Mayor Duckett sends his sincere regards this evening. Though prior commitments prevent him from being here, he asks that I share a deep respect for the Navajo Nation and his appreciation for every individual who has come here to participate in this important democratic moment. We stand today in a region shaped by the enduring strength and leadership of the Navajo people. The connections between Farmington and the Navajo Nation run deep, and they continue to guide how we grow, collaborate, and imagine what is possible together. Gatherings like this remind us that leadership is not only about the individuals on the stage. It is about the people, all of you, who show up, who listen, who ask questions, and who believe in the power of their community. Your presence tonight is a testament to hope, engagement, and the shared belief that tomorrow can be stronger than today. To the candidates on the stage, thank you for stepping forward with courage and conviction. To the citizens, leaders, and guests, thank you for investing your time, your voice, and your trust in this process. May this evening spark clarity, inspire unity, and strengthen the path ahead for the Navajo Nation. Welcome to Farmington. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. At this time, I would like to welcome our moderator to the stage. Danielle Totah will be our moderator this evening. Just to remind the candidates, we will start with the opening remarks, and you will have 3 minutes. And if you just want to come to the microphone to make your opening remarks, and then the next person will come. So thank you again very much for being here, and I'd like to introduce Danielle Totah.
Thank you, Jamie. Yat Danielle Totah and She Izadachi Ashihi Bashichin, Discalathni Dashiche, Honagathni Dashanali. I work for Four Corners Clean Energy Alliance, and together with Jamie and Carmen, Vincent Moffitt, and Tim Gibbons with Four Corners Economic Development, we were able to put this on. And we thank everybody for coming this evening to enjoy this event. Hope you guys get a lot of insight from your candidates, but keep studying and doing your homework. All right, candidates, just like to thank everybody for showing. We'll start from this side. We've got Emily Ellison. We've got Johnny Russell Jr., I'll get it right, Tom G., Frank Dayish, Myron Lizer, Arvin Trujillo, Justin Jones, Alexander Chambers, Crystalline Curley, and off the top of my head, can you say your name again? Donovan Begay. And then Dr. Jordan Begay is supposed to be coming, but since he's not here, I'll go ahead and start with the first question. And our original moderator is currently here, but I'll go ahead and start with the first question. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, we're supposed to do introductions. 3-minute introductions. Let's go ahead and start with Miss Ellison.
Yeah, let's do introductions first. Yat she Emily Ellison Yinchia, Nakaden Enchle. Haltoy Basishin, Kia on Ada Shiche, Dobit on the Ada Chanelle. And then my great great grandparents are Salt, Ashihindane, and Tena Bithni. So I'm able to trace my lineage a little further than the 4 clans. I can do 6. Lekin na Georgia na sha ada shan ada kin hujona manuelito yolieni ada shin dashinisa ICA le jajilta dat na sha shmasan da enigi eran ada ndake. Coming to Farmington is an interesting experience for me always. I really enjoy studying and reading about the history of the Navajo people, and there's been a lot of history in this community. And, you know, as I've grown older, I'm learning to interact with it. And my son is the one that has brought me to the community to interact because he plays soccer and baseball. And so we interact with the community here in Farmington. It's so good to see our kids be competitive and to believe that they have a dream that they can achieve. And so I think Farmington in this area, because of their economic capability, which is mostly based on extraction and mining, has allowed that opportunity to become real for a lot of families. And so, you know, that's something that we have to understand and respect. Is it the model for our Diné people as we move forward? Because our primary teaching has been to be stewards of the land, not owners. So understanding how we interact with this economic model, I think, is an interesting challenge for the future as we go forward. So that's my introduction to you, and thank you for organizing this forum. Again, my name is Emily Ellison. I'm number 10 on the ballot. Thank you.
Yat say Johnny Russenschke, I don't lay it now till he did is carried killers, 28 inch. I don't Tanisane that she's I don't donut, she that she say, I don't Chanel, I don't Nigels a cado, the landboard is here to get Kayato, Clay Wicked Shadow, and I'll close Wicked Shadow. But hardly over Wicked Shadow by Charlotte and this here. Ado arin shenanish ado kayato ko isun agency ba shilbahazen ado kode nikinat ani dishkain so kode atania is hasaja tati ijahibel ako isun agency I wote bein house nandishni ado Navajo don house na ako ashit don kika ijeta and late lodge at hino map that's it so ko that no hita chaos in each agency. So I want you 15 candidates to go see my map on outside, and I want you to see what you guys are dealing with on each side of the Navajo Nation. Yeah, ako 8 konin khanyado aro hiya aro hajoshi pansida ketoshin ashon the tin kinat ani di state aro di hon the house function that da sagaho zonde the house function this here hait out sagaho zonde bitsil on that this. We would have all that power with the people behind me running Navajo Nation. We would have had a real good, strong Navajo Nation. I call all down the schnee. I don't know about this case. I don't, who watched Mortal Kombat? She's a Charlie Gala. My name's Quintana. So actually, I'm one of the main characters out of these 15 behind me. So, I don't,
Yat shik edos the ne. A heha con nedo zadona nishtadan klo aden hanoya. Ha ilanat ani yan seki stoben dat ala danoson e con honosonigi heha. I deeply appreciate your presence this afternoon. You're taking the time from your work, from your busy schedule to come and listen and say, what's going on? What do we like to hear? So my name is Tom Chi. I born and raised in a sheep camp on the dusty, cold, windy Navajo Nation on the west side. I grew up out there, dry farming. My parents were ranchers, hogan, those kind of stuff. I also went to boarding school for 10 years, not because of my choosing, because of bad federal education policy. My first complete sentence was, I did it. If I could say that, I stayed out of trouble. And so what I'm going to get at here as part of my introduction is that I appreciate your presence. So my thought has always been, before we claim our ethnicity, all society, whether we're on the res, off the res, we should strive to be better human beings. And what are those elements that cause us to be better human beings? And what would draw us together? And I think some of these thoughts as a leader of a nation. Did you know that Navajo Nation is 27,000 square miles? And if you compare it to the 195 countries around the world, we rank between 120 to 125 in terms of land space. So if we were to be a country, we would be one of the largest countries in this world. But yet we are so much need of development and growth and changes. There's a huge difference also between living on land and owning land. And that's one of the things that will really be a discussion here. The rest of the world with property and housing, people have access to credit. And how do we share that benefit with our neighbors? If you live on the nation, we have cash base only. There's no equity. We only get 1 acre, 75-year lease. If we're lucky to live 75, we might renew before we go to heaven. So those are the things that are in the back of my mind as we proceed to seek the President of the Navajo Nation. Thank you.
Yate, she yaha Frank Days Jr. inch, yeah. Aro the Nebenant Aben Yeshua. The way not any nes, aro the way Totah Lendigi. Bahayatak SNL. Hastile na Kaidnet is Elabajaninde. Yaha Yahos de Kayabananta and Lo, Lashing it better husband. Yaha Ado Yaha Ishiyaho Aho. Shijay Quena Kibitak, Dak has Ibada Williande. Ado Otto Natan Adat in the Nil. Tlohide yse, Sigi pa ho, what I in Hinan stand lone anachaiho. I don't that chitina, Nado ledak, ebebena, and the future yostel, Ebe, Nana, what I ben Hinan Shitelia. What are ye eben Niado, Arosh or Koya High School there? Aquapana, Hoto Elementary School, at Haishla, a high school gen. I was a lot so got off the Ajnan Ishla, radio operator in Schlende. Ajnan Stradit, I don't that I did non star aqua hospital big Hokai, Hondanjico. A business, I should up at this. What now, yes, a ta neither a Taoista. Now, Lia was a ta there, about an hunt, Allah, when just kill. What a spin. Is non Islaro. I don't know Nash Nana was Tagido, Aquaja Hokaja San Juan College. I don't know Las Cruces Acacia, Bigahoya, Ada Nana, New Mexico State, I thought business Nana. I don't know the way Kinahad Goiben Nashi, in the Wachigo Ashibiyajico, Chidnat ayot ayot the chido ajet kashanan ishlaho contracting officer in Schlinde for the United States government. Ko ya ayin hinan stan linde. Aro aret nan sta ikoje ya vice president Navajo Nation. At ya kahinan shidelia ho. Koje anaya da si ged lo koje khanago San Juan mine. At ya hinan shidelia ho. Aron da ya chief executive officer na kiko. In a hospital that got an issue, they are Adelia. Around the Nana Navajo housing can Spahanasi, Natija, Ajosan Ishlaho. But Asian on the sheet had it open, Nasha Equa, the Nebanon, Aben, Yetna, the sheets at a deal, Nita di no ye. In Kiro Nikadoja, number 6, Kuntasita, Frank Dace Jr.
Yat Edo, yeah, Shik Edo, Shedina. Shay, Myron Lizer, Yenishia, Comanche in this land, Tohana, Bashis Chin, Do Comanche, Dashache, Glasha Dashanella. I used to live up on Harper Hill there, 85, 86, and I feel like I'm back home, so Yat E Totah. Also, my father was a student up at Navajo Mission before it became the Prep Academy, back in its Methodist days. And first and foremost, I want to thank my Savior, Jesus Christ, for giving me the strength and power to be here, giving me the gifts that I have, and probably the past position that I held for the Navajo Nation, which was Vice President from 2019 to 2023. It is there that I was immersed in what the Navajo Nation needed, and it was there that the old Navajo generating station was terminated. And we've not replaced it since then. And so I'm here to really lay it on you thick. I feel like I'm the most experienced here to talk about energy and to bring energy and the Navajo Nation into the 21st century. Before I get into that, I just want to let you know that I'm down to earth. I know there's a lot of things out there about me. My wife, Dottie, the former second lady of the Navajo Nation, we've been married for 35 years. We have 3 adult children, 34, 32, and 26. My baby girl just had emergency surgery this morning, 5 o'clock, to get the call, the harrowing call. We're taking her to the ambulance, and so I'm a little shaken right now, to tell you the truth, but I wouldn't miss this, simply for the fact that I think there is so much to gain. And had I missed it just for family, and I am a family man, had every opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not cut out for this. I want to stay home and be with my baby. I think the Navajo Nation deserves strong leadership, and I feel like I'm the man that has a plan that's going to propel us forward. And so I take this opportunity to introduce myself. I'm changing my game up a little bit this evening for you. All of the candidates, my fellow candidates up here, the colleagues, have kind of seen, and I think they've gotten used to the way I used to be. But going forward, it's going to be all business, and I'm looking forward to showcasing for you that I think the Navajo Nation is primed. It's a setup like we've never had before for the future. I want you all to know, too, that I am position 1 on the ballot. Look no further. It stops here, and it stops now, and tonight is going to be an unleashing of what I feel is what I've been kind of promised, what I've been kind of waiting for, and I'm chomping at the bit to show you that Vice President Lizer is the man for the next president of the Navajo Nation. So I appreciate your time and look forward to sharing. Oh, yeah.
I'll switch mics over here. My name is Arvin Trujillo. She since a kaidin shle, but anye bashes chin, a shin da shichedo na kaidinet da shanale. Chigane right down the road here, Fruitland, New Mexico. I went to school at Kirtland. I did my undergraduate work at Oral Roberts University, got a degree in biochemistry, did my graduate work at Penn State University, got my degree in mineral processing and mining. I've got a 40-year career that I want to bring to the nation and help benefit it moving forward. There's much to be done looking at how we begin to do business on the nation. You know, I've worked both in the public and the private sector. I've worked for nonprofits. I've worked for companies, BHP, APS. I worked for the tribe. I was executive director for the Division of Natural Resources for 11 years under Kelsey Begay and Joe Shirley Jr. I've been with nonprofits. I've worked for Four Corners Economic Development as CEO. Also was the CEO for the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, ACES, for a few months during the transition. So I've got much experience looking at managerial development, looking at organizational development from a practical side, how to get people to do their jobs and how to make sure people achieve results and focus their efforts and utilize the resources that are given to them. You know, looking at what I've been able to accomplish being with Division of Natural Resources and being with APS and Four Corners Economic Development. I know negotiations, water negotiations, land negotiations, energy negotiations. I've done negotiations with outside companies on rights-of-way across the Navajo Nation. I was a part of the negotiating team that lifted the Bennett Freeze, the Navajo Hopi Joint Use Area. I was a part of the negotiating team that got the water rights completed between the Navajo Nation and the state of New Mexico. From that, we were able to start the construction of the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project. I was a part of the team that negotiated and led the efforts to expand 491 and 550 from 2-lane to 4-lane highways. I was a part of that team. I was a part of the team that was able to negotiate and keep Four Corners Power Plant and Navajo Mine operating for an additional 25 years. So I've got the experience. I know how to work. I know how to interrelate with state, with federal, with local governments, with tribes, with chapters. Because again, look to me for that experience. Arvin Trujillo, position number 3. Thank you.
Yat shik edo shit nedo shel kahasin lo. Justin Jones again shge. Adobet ahni do nen shlino qatnes zahni bash shin kintlichini do da shit shedo shi eda shinale. Ako yat ni hidini do lis. I am from a place called Rock Point, Arizona, about 2 hours west of here. But I feel like I grew up here in San Juan County. It's good to be back in Totah Theater here. This was the place to come for kung fu movies. The line used to be outside all the way around the corner. I saw Star Wars right across the street at Allen Theater in 1976, and we stood in line for 4 hours. This is Farmington, New Mexico. It's good to be here, and thank you for the committee for putting on this forum this evening. I reside here in San Juan County. I'm a taxpayer here in New Mexico, and I'm a voter here in New Mexico as well, and here in the city of Farmington. I also have a ranch out between Chilchimbito and Rough Rock. So I believe that I live in both worlds in one way or another. And so what does that tell you in so many ways? It tells me that we are, as a Navajo Nation, are at a threshold today. We have come through an economic security for the longest time since the mid-1950s. We had a mine-mouth, really good situation here. We had a mine and we had a power plant. We had another mine over here and we had another power plant. This was the economic bust of New Mexico for a long time. But when the San Juan Generating Station dismantled and then the underground mine closed down, we only have one power plant and one mine here today. So a lot of what San Juan County is feeling here, I believe that the Navajo Nation is feeling here. So we're at a threshold today. But the main thing, believe that's going to keep this economy going for the Navajo Nation are several fold. We have to get our home in order. We have to manage our funds. We have to clean up, balance our checkbook of the Navajo Nation. We have to look at our laws, and we have to begin to follow our laws on the Navajo Nation. And we have to have a complete change of the system that is completely broken today. We can talk about this and that, putting cops here, doing this and doing that. But we have to figure out a way that we're going to have to generate some revenue. It was convenient for us that the coal was just right here. Yes, we do have natural gas here as well. However, we have to look beyond that today. And that's what my administration will be diving into immediately.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good afternoon. You know, I believe in a strong strategic alliance with the city of Farmington. It is a bond like nobody has ever seen between the city of Farmington and the Navajo Nation. This great alliance has existed before. It wasn't as strong as it used to be. But as we move forward as president of the Navajo Nation, I believe that strengthening that alliance with all cities through the region is essential for economic opportunities, economic development, and new energy development as well. Our bond is so strong that we share, very helpful insights in workforce, even people living here off the Navajo Nation. So when I talk about this bond with the city of Farmington, I think it is essential that we strengthen it through the region for the Navajo Nation. It's not just with the city of Farmington, but with the city of Gallup, the city of Flagstaff, and Page, and onward. Because I believe as president of the Navajo Nation, we should look beyond our borders to strengthen these alliances, to strengthen these opportunities, to bring about more opportunities, new industries, new workforce. And so these are some of the things that I see beyond the borders of the Navajo Nation that I believe will make the Navajo Nation stronger, more primed for leadership, working with our state, regional partners, and the U.S. government. Every 4 years, we get different leaders, but the mission has always been the same. Our alliance and our allegiance is always the same. And so this opportunity for this new hope for the Navajo Nation, the city of Farmington, the city of Gallup, the city of Flagstaff, and the city of Page. Not only that, but in the state of Arizona. As we elect the new governor, this new opportunity would shape and shift a new fundamental order for our region. And this new order, I believe, will strengthen our ties for the entire Southwest, which will set the tone for a new opportunity and new hope for the United States and South America and throughout the region in America, through Canada and all the way into Alaska. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we are just getting started. As the largest Native American tribe in the United States, that would be the mission, that would be the goal. Thank you.
My time's up. Yat eshik ashine kado masanado cheno linigido ko shawet shiyaje shida no do yahe ngideshni kwagi naso kaigi ado kado candidates. It's welcome to see you all. I think we should just save money and carpool at some point. We've been doing a whole tour throughout the whole Navajo Nation. We do show up for our people kado e ba nitzen. Ado she crystalline curly nashya. Ado senta kinen nashle tko head lini e bashichin kia ani the shiche do ziltka kia ani e the shanale what amato asanchle. Ado ne le so hale biado e adet nasha. Very small rural community west of Chinle called Fish Point, Arizona. E adet nasha. You won't find it on a map. It's not a chapter. It's a very small community. We still continue to fight for infrastructure and water out in my community. Ado been serving as a speaker for more than three years. So with my experience, Ado kodo nikinat Washington, iki bi indel nishiki I don't be wish into be wilsa. And I think that is very important to be running for a candidate, is to make sure that we elect leaders that know the process of how our laws work, how our budget works, and how our revenues work, and how the system overall works for our people. But again, thank you for being here, City of Farmington. However, this is our Aboriginal homelands. The Nene, Tlenigi, these are our homelands. And thinking about that, I know there's many issues as a president. You know, one conversation that we have to talk about is the amount of millions and billions of dollars that we bring to the city. And do we see that investment back in our tribal communities? You know, we need to ask ourselves that question when it is time that we get those services and that investment back to our people as border towns. You know, that is one of the visions that I see and many of the issues that we see here. But my request in my introduction is please open back up the restrooms in, you know, the Farmington Indian Center. And that is time, you know, that it needs to be addressed. You know, we should be able to provide those services to our vulnerable population. And again, I am the last one sitting on the ballot of this election.
Yate, she Donovan began ship builds in Schletway, Glini Bushchin, Nakadenet, she to Toba the judge, the Chanel. Could it's not the could Herfno, Dana Shah, Bistkoi, though I work for Los Angeles Unified School District as an administrator. I work for the Title VI program. We have over 800,000 students in our school district and over 800 schools. And out of all the 168 tribes that are represented in Los Angeles, they picked me to work with them. I work downtown LA in a building. There was 5,000 people working in that building, and I'm probably the only Native American working there. I have worked with large budgets and helped with the curriculum with our language and cultural program for Native American Title VI program. And thank you for everybody being here. Really appreciate it. This is my hometown. I'm actually from Herfino area, but I went to a Herfino boarding school, wound up in Navajo Prep right over here, graduated from there, went on to the Marine Corps. I also attended the Institute of American Arts in Santa Fe and went on to the Marine Corps. And I was 0321, I started 0311, which was infantry, and then First Reconnaissance Unit. We wound out in Desert Storm in Persian Gulf, out there for almost a year. And I'm one of you guys right here in Farmington. And if you guys are looking for somebody in this particular area to vote for, I'm the person. So we can look out for each other, and we need to get stronger a lot here, especially Shiprock. We have to really help them out. Their chapter is closed down right now because of issues with their some issues that they have with the building. But you know, you can look at your resources and what you do have right now. Central Consolidated School District is sitting there in their administrative offices, and they don't want half of their tract. I think that the chapter should ask to use that building there. They have all the classrooms. They do have the gymnasium. They have a lot of land and buildings to use there. They should ask for it. And if they're not going to continue to use that chapter area, they should use that area for the Navajo Kotakers Museum that we're looking to try to build. And you got a lot of people here with a lot of experience, but you know, I think I have a lot of experience also. So I think I'm number 11, so please vote for me. Thank you. Hello.
My name is Dory Peters. I am a board member of the Four Corners Economic Clean Energy Alliance. And welcome. This is going to be an interesting evening, and we look forward to everyone being here. And thank you, candidates. This is a very amazing time in our lives as tribal members. And so I want to give thanks to the City of Farmington for hosting this, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, and as well as the Economic Development. And also, we have a County Commissioner, Sam, as well here, and we're looking forward to hearing from everyone. So the ground rules are basically, we got 3 minutes, and of course, the timer will go off. It sounds like I got to go to third, quarter math in high school. It sounds like that. And thank you, Speaker Curley. I can imagine when you said school bus, for some reason, I see you guys all looking out the windows of the school bus. And who's going to be on the very back of the school bus, which was my favorite spot, because you hit a bump and you go the highest. So anyway, that's a little childhood memory from my childhood adventures on the res and the boarding school. So what we're going to do is basically you're going to pick out in the bowl some questions. You have 3 minutes to answer those questions. And so I don't want to influence anything. So you're going to pick the questions, and I'm going to read them out. And you have 3 minutes. So let's get started. So this isn't popcorn. I thought it was. But so let's just start. We'll start with Mr. Leiser. All right. Give it back. You already saw that one. I did. Okay. Ms. Allison, how will you collaborate with surrounding cities and sharing an infrastructure such as roads, emergency service, and utilities?
So our chapter system, I think, is outdated, and it's not being utilized as efficiently as it was prior to how the economy changed. And so at this point, I do believe that we need to regionalize a lot of our core services. And so you can easily pinpoint that by seeing where the majority of the population interact and do commerce exchange. And you go into any community in the Navajo Nation, doesn't matter what state, what location, the community themselves have a location where they will go and sell. And so I think those points need to be identified and utilized. But also the border towns, Gallup, Page, Farmington, also need to understand that a lot of our Navajo money go into their system. So they need to give us at least 50% of that tax and invest in our infrastructure, invest in our community. And if we're not able to do that, then they need to work with us in a lot of these nonprofits that do work within social services, within the medical services, within the transports. And a lot of it is collaboration. I know I don't have privy to the books and the plans that are in place right now. But there is some work and there is some movement towards it. There are professionals who they have a plan, which again, one of the issues with the Navajo government is transparency. They have all these plans, but they don't share it with us. They have these meetings and they don't share those with us, the ideas. And when we provide the feedback, it's not utilized. So putting someone like me into that position of leadership, that will happen. Your input will be utilized. There will be thinking beyond what we're seeing right now. One of the things that distinguishes me from the rest of these candidates is I have lived and worked internationally for nearly a decade. So I lived in China when it was one of the lowest economies in the world. And I was there when it became the second largest economy in the world. So I've seen their communities when they look like chapter houses. And now I see their skyscrapers. I see the development that they've done. And they're a lot like us Navajo. They're one tribe. They're one group. They speak one language. I mean, they've got dialects, but they work together. And so this democratic system that we have It's not designed for our community, as you can see with a 3-branch government. It's not working. So we need government reform, but really what we need is government design. We need to design our system ourselves, and that's what I want to help our community with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Oh my goodness, this is a long one. All righty. Utility rates may continue to rise over the next 5 years. Many Navajo families, including elders, single-income households, and those living with fixed incomes, are already struggling to keep up with the high electricity, water, broadband bills. What specific actions will your administration take to protect the low-income households with these rising costs?
Yat you want to hear it in English or Navajo? No, that. The fixed rate, the think hot kid can count up a but based on you about on that and play a little out or little a little, but based on that, little can take end I later, tone end I I don't need a coach. Say my administration, I shouldn't lay Navajo Nation, I shouldn't base a bus in the Loshin John. I call H a day or I call but utilities of a conduct but $12 little you can die electric gas. I call it not all the time, old set of a car now. I call a shadow that runs in the just to keep him afloat. I call on in and then Nanish like that zeal. I don't say Nanish to the engine. I call Halit Abakadi, I call the Kikation General. But nature had done on this been ordered only on the reservation or on the Totah, like Farmington and Gallup area. I call Hashita, we can let the Farmington and the city can't because additionally the net runs Farmington, Gallup, Page, Otto, Flagstaff, Winslow, Holbrook, 8 and never daily area. Aquashita Pelagana, Aqua da Bagani, Don a pace of Hashita, Basati Bandajin, Nikaba Khan, Chacho, Nikiba Khan de Chacho, been joined by his little, Nikiki can tell, Nakadale gate, Aquashita, not add on here, Nikakan, Jitako. Ashita, kitchen day, Lissashin John. We work as one, we take care of our people, those should not buy that Hilgado, Lesota, John Sita about this case. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Dash.
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, shit. This is a better hat.
Yeah, I was just saying.
That's what it was.
You guys look like twins. All right. Okay. In the school bus, of course, yeah. What specific areas do you see the opportunities for joint projects, such as water, broadband, public safety, or transportation?
Can I read it myself? You bet. Okay. Thank you for that question. What specific areas do you see as opportunities for joint projects such as water, broadband, public safety, or transportation? One of those things is public safety. I think one of the basic reasons why governments come into existence is public safety. Then there's jurisdictional issues that are involved. One of the recent elections on San Juan County sheriff race my question was, there's no Republicans and there's no Democrats on Navajo Nation. And that boundary by Hawkback shouldn't be a barrier if there was deemed as an active shooter. Are you going to stop at the reservation line and ask who's in charge here, who has the jurisdiction? Those to me are paramount, that to know that our neighboring public safety agency has and will respond at any call. It does not matter what part of the res it is. And that's one of the, to me, public safety, if there is that thought that I am safe, people will be more restful, they won't be stressed. And so that kind of cushions everything on both sides, is that to know that there's public safety out there. It gives mental health to our citizen. It gives, whether you have a census number or not, public safety is a crucial issue. And then the other part to that one is just a pure sake of extending ourselves across our boundaries. One of those is we deliver a lot of dollars here. We leave here a lot of tax benefits. We go across back to the nation, and our children do not enjoy good sports facility, and they wait out for the sandstorm to go by before they resume their games. And out here, you go down here to La Plata, a very bright lit park. I always think I paid for some of that stuff. I'm a property owner here for 30 plus years. I paid property tax for all the public school systems in the area. Why wouldn't that be extended and have a mutual sharing agreement, MOUs, as to how we could utilize some of these water developments? Adon dadol ohogon legon de ni khahle khalt ida lebel sanda nil kizgo kodon khada zosandole dan hide oyon heda jtingo ni hedo eda ai sitaba yatkigo edo nil. So we shouldn't be apologetic for being a president of Navajo Nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chi. Mr. Daesh, so how will you work with the local municipalities to support job creation, workforce development, small business growth in the Four Corners region?
Do I get to hold this? Yes, sir. All right, thank you, sir. My name is Frank Daesh, Jr., position number 6. You call Mr. Chi Frank Daesh, so I'm just making sure you know. Good evening. And I wanted to express a couple of thoughts. Number one is I want to call out the elephant in the room. The relationship between the Navajo Nation, Shiprock, New Mexico, and Farmington has not been all that great. I'm going to tell you that right now. Isn't that right? It hasn't been. We've had a lot of negative things that have happened. I've seen a lot of marches come through Farmington just to present our position, just to stand equal to everyone else that's living outside the boundary. Also, I wanted to say that the mayor should be here so he would know that this is who he's going to be working with in the future. So I wanted to express that thought as well. And so the question is, how do we work with municipalities? One of them is what I just talked about. We need to be on a level playing field. We need to be able to talk to one another, look at one another, and talk about the future on both sides of the fence. And the question that you asked me, I've already done that. I opened that mine, San Juan mine, underground mine. And the amount of funds that were generated, a lot of Navajo people that work there move here to Farmington to pay the taxes that they're talking about, to live here, build homes, construction, and do a lot of even the ballpark that was just mentioned a little while ago. So we did that. We opened that underground mine. We brought a lot of resources here. We went from an open pit mine, which was, the coal seam is 15 feet. And we had to dig down 7 times that amount just to get to the coal. So instead of digging all that dirt away, we went sideways and went underground. And so we were able to generate a lot of resources for Navajo Nation and also for Farmington. And the people that live on both sides that pay taxes and move our initiative forward. Well, we'd like to do more of that. Again, like I said earlier, we want to sit down at the table, we want to have a level playing field and start talking about initiatives that will benefit both of us and continue to move our organizations forward. The revenue streams that are coming in are being split. And I think that we're getting the short end of the stick because I was watching it, and I'm one of the ones that put some of those programs in place. And so we opened the mine, we've opened a lot of different work activities. Then we've created a lot of jobs out here. A lot of the workers came from here, the underground equipment. Instead of locating in Shiprock, they came over here. So that's where a lot of these resources were coming from. So that's my answer to your question.
Oh, you beat me to it. All righty, Mr. Lizer.
Okay, so
Let me get to your, let me get out of your way. There you go.
pick the best one. Okay.
You had that one before. Sorry. All right, here we go. Mr. Lizer, what's your plan to expand economic opportunities for Navajo artisans and weavers?
Thank you. All right. Isn't this an energy conference? We're going to create power for our artisans and all of our talented weavers and silversmiths. What is your plan to expand economic opportunities for Navajo artists and weavers? Well, I think right off the bat, I wish I had your question about municipalities, but I'm going to touch upon it, that I think working together with the city of Farmington and the Navajo Nation, they have this little thing called the Navajo Dam Escrow Account, which should have a balance of about maybe 6 million, maybe 7 million. I would tap into that. We're working with the new mayor and work on a project together. It might not be for Navajo artists and weavers, but maybe it will. You know, our people are so talented. They're world-renowned across the globe, and we need to consider a lot of ways to allow them to shine. A lot of them are doing so right now of their own merit, of their own sake, of their own initiative. But what if the Navajo Nation gave them our full backing? And I'm privy to the old R.C. Gorman estate is being sold right now. Anybody have 25 million? I think that somebody that understands our Navajo background, maybe even Navajo themselves, if there's a millionaire out there that wants to buy the R.C. Gorman estate, I can broker that deal. So I'd love to do that and get that bird dog fee. But I think collaborating together is really where we need to work. Mr. Chi talked about the municipal stadiums that have been built. You know, we share a lot. You know, why can't we send more Sandy Koufax or Mickey Mantle, Connie Mack, shows you how old I am. Connie Mack teams here. There used to be a time when Shiprock sent a team. I believe Chinle sent a team, and my old hometown, Window Rock, the Fighting Scouts always had a strong showing. But I'd love to get to a time where our Navajo, not only our scholastic sports teams thriving on all levels, you know, not only basketball, which is king, football and baseball and wrestling and cross country. And so I think that we should hit on every cylinder to give our artisans the opportunity to shine on the world stage. And so, but I think it's key is working with the city of Farmington, collaborating on the Navajo Dam escrow account, some worthwhile endeavor, maybe a water bottling facility, right? And using the dividends that's created from that to pave the way for our artisans, maybe a little a mall or some kind of, I don't want to call it a mall, I want to call it an artisan showcase where you have galleries, and perhaps atop of them, on the first floor would be the galleries that they would have, but on top would be suites and lofts and flats that they could live in. So, thank you.
On a quick note, full disclosure, these questions were actually formed online from individuals that submitted these questions. So that's how we got these, all these questions that are being asked. So just to know, let you guys know. And we have first round, we have 3 rounds, so we'll have enough for another go around too. Arvin. Arvin, what is your plan to increase affordability, accessibility, and elder-friendly housing?
You know, those are goals looking not only at the elderly, looking at affordability, but looking at our working families right now. You know, with the Navajo Nation, it's really beginning to look at how do we look at infrastructure development? How do we focus on that? Looking at water, looking at land accessibility, looking at electricity, and looking at internet capabilities. You know, we need to begin to educate because we're moving into a new realm with the Navajo Nation. We have the capabilities of mortgaging. We have the capabilities of beginning to build equity, working with the government, federal government. How do we begin to utilize that with our people? How do we begin to generate jobs so our people can then develop mortgages, develop a home, develop equity? Affordability comes down to how do you begin to bring those pieces together? And more importantly, we need to begin to work effectively with our federal government and our state partners. Those folks also, here in Farmington, state of New Mexico, those same issues are prevalent. How do we begin to partner together? How do we look at developing those jobs that we need? How do we begin to look at developing the necessary infrastructure so that our people can find places to live? You know, we have good employees. But again, it's looking at the nation's process, looking at land accessibility. You know, how do we get land available? We have young Navajo families who are coming to Farmington, they're finding jobs. Look at the top of Harper Hill, all those young Navajo families living up there. Many of them want to live on the reservation, but they can't because of our home site leasing process, because of our accessibility to water, because of our inaccessibility to internet. Those things can be done. I brought E-rate to chapters when I was with the Navajo Transitional Telecommunication Commission. You know, I was a part of the negotiations that brought the Navajo Gallup Water Supply Project here. That's bringing water into the area. We're looking at electricity and how do we begin to do that? Looking at generation and diversifying our capabilities to do that. You know, economic development is just like fire. Fire, you gotta have to have fuel, you have to have heat, and you have to have oxygen. Economic development, you gotta have land, water, and power. You take one of those away, you have nothing. So I wanna bring that back to the nation. Thank you.
Mr. Jones, what steps will you take to improve permitting timelines, transparency for companies wanting to invest in Navajo energy?
One of the first things I think that the Navajo Nation needs to do is define the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years as far as energy development is. Because today, like I said, we're at a threshold where we've had this coal and power plant in this county. The same way in the Page area. We have natural gas that is here. We have other resources that are there as well. So those are consistent energy resources and reserves that are in place right now. So the question facing the Navajo Nation is that, are we going to continue to utilize that? Now, on the other hand, there is also renewables as well, that is there as well. So if you look at the broader spectrum of the energy usage on the Navajo Nation, There's a good percentage of it that are coming from renewables. There's a good percentage of it coming from natural gas, and there's a good percentage of it coming from coal. Coal seems to be going down today. Now, looking at that spectrum today, where do we go from here? And I think that's a very important question to ask ourselves. To me, it seems like it can't just be the president of the Navajo Nation. It can't just be the council of the Navajo Nation. On a broader scale, the Navajo people need to determine which way we're going to go with this. And so that's going to determine it, well, number one. Number two is the fact that the transparency aspect of it. One of the things that we need to do, let's say that we're going down the road of renewables, is the fact that we need to ask ourselves, do we have Navajo companies who are capable of doing this? So I think that my administration is going to prioritize finally the Navajo Business Opportunity Act, that we have to invest in our people, our own companies. We have to begin to help ourselves. We can't continue and blame other corporations who are coming in and being cheated out. So that's number one. Number two is the fact that transparency, we have to make sure that the Navajo Business Opportunity Act, the Navajo Procurement Act, and other things are very much enforced as well. Today, we don't enforce that. The Navajo Nation fails to enforcement. A good part of my law practice has been premised upon suing the Navajo Nation for violations of the Navajo Business Opportunity Act. So that, the laws, we need to begin to enforce those in place. And I think that that is a good beginning of transparency. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I didn't memorize the question, so here we go. Mr. Chambers, how will you work with local cities on the watershed protection, drought planning, and long-term water security?
You know, briefly before, when I was doing my opening remark, I mentioned, you know, the alliance with the city of Farmington. It is very important and imperative that we strengthen that relationship for what they have mentioned, which is water rights, but for water control. I think having this type of alliance with the city is, you know, would only strengthen one of those avenues, not just with the city, but with the county, the state, and some of our local representatives here. You know, we all have added incentives that our local businesses here, local citizens, and then across the border on the Navajo Nation side. So, you know, it is very important. I haven't seen specific details by the city of Farmington. You know, and again, it goes back to data. I think when a leader has that data, that intelligence, you know, when we get that brief from the state, from the city, from the county, we can make those imperative decisions for things such as water. And I think that it is very essential that, you know, just like some of these guys said, being on the same level playing field, but it's also essential that, you know, we don't even have our sitting Navajo Nation president up here. You know, I think leadership should be present. I think that is one of the reasons why we are where we're at today, because of that broken leadership. And so, you know, that is just one avenue that I believe that we could pursue with that. But definitely having that intel in front of us so we could be briefed on that, we can make those decisions more appropriately for the appropriate time and conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Ms. Curley, what is your plan to modernize transmission infrastructure and reduce delays in right-of-ways approvals that affect both Navajo communities and nearby cities.
Right, thank you. First of all, just really quickly, I'm going to answer one of the questions about the artisan. So our artisan, our weavers, our silversmithers, our seamstress, they are actually the only economy that has passed over decades, generations. If you look at, they're the most successful over 300, 400 years. So if you are an artisan, their own creator, they make their own regulations. However, they do need a government that will support them, because that is the only reliable source that many of our artisans, they regulate and bring home money and also put food on the table for the families. We need to create a government that supports them. So, and for this question, how to reduce delays in right-of-way approvals. So one of the issues that I have planned as a Navajo Nation president is around energy development, is to finally create an energy office where we have professionals, where we have researchers, and also many of our communities should be part of that conversation. Because right now, any energy development, any project that is coming to the Navajo Nation should not be made on political influences. It should be backed on research. It should be backed on data, how much the rate of return will be to the Navajo Nation, how much water is going to use, that, and looking at the longevity. We see many of these developments coming in data centers, but however, how long is that lifespan? We look at many of these projects that are here on the Navajo Nation, but they are here with the disposable waste. So we need to follow through that is streamlined, and people that can actually do the permitting, the right-of-ways, all within that central office. We will have professionals in those offices that will help lead these discussions. So it won't be up to a council delegate or a president, but making informed decisions. How will it benefit back the people? That is the most important question. Like for right-of-ways, a lot of the right-of-ways that we see transmission lines, I have one just goes through my house, but none of the returns actually came back to the community. So we do need to have a conversation again on community benefit. How is this administration going to include benefits that will come back to your own community, not just Window Rock? So if you have transmission lines, if you have right-of-ways in your community, you should see some of those benefits invested at the chapter or your schools or in scholarships. Those are some things that we need to consider. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Curley. Mr. McGay, what reforms will you implement to ensure delivery of homes that are efficient and transparent?
I know we're at the big this situation with the 24 million, right? And there was a 1,000 home initiative that the president was supposed to be part of, and kind of fell a little bit short. And so the first thing you have to do, basically, we have to have professionals making these decisions. One of the most I know Arvin Mitchell was with the Navajo Nation for a very long time, and he's one of the ones that signed off on I guess, any homes, the contract. So I think we need a lot of professionals dealing. They should have handed this project out to people who know what they're doing, right? Yes, absolutely 100% right. I mean, everybody has a profession. My profession, I've worked with children's programs often throughout my career, working with administrations. But then my also profession is I'm an artist, just like a lot of people are. And I did that for about 20 years, and that's how I supported my kids. I was a single father, and I think I did a good job because all four of them are in college right now. I have one in Azusa Pacific University. And back to this question here, is basically handing it off to people who know what they're doing. We really need homes. Right now, there's a lot of people, we looked at the percentages of people, there's a 5% chance that you're going to receive a home as a member of a Navajo Nation, a 5% chance. And as a veteran, you have a 2% chance of actually receiving a home. So you're better off, trying to figure out how you're going to get your house built with your own funds. And we have a really terrible process of home site leases because I hate to say this, but our land board people are not doing their jobs, and they're not turning in our paperwork to wherever our agency is. So there's a lot of challenges, and we all need to get on this. Everybody who's involved. And I think the president needs to sit down with everybody who has something at stake with the homes and really get down and really start delivering homes. And I'm not really into this manufactured homes, these modular homes. I think they're going to be falling apart in about 5 years. So thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to do one more round. And then closing remarks, the same amount of time as well. So we'll start back over here with Ms. Ellison. Let's see. Ms. Ellison, how will you reform Navajo Nation hiring practices to retain our brightest Navajo professionals who currently leave for better pay and respect elsewhere?
A couple of the other questions I wanted to touch on are artists. I think one of the ways to help them is to get them copyright laws. So when their designs are stolen, they're able to adjudicate them through the court system. Another issue would be to get them access to capital. And so that would be the tribe, even subsidizing the cost of material like silver and gold, because, those are highly increased. There is a market out there for Native American design, and there is a need. That's why we have these federal laws protecting our artwork. For the housing issue, let me tell you, I know how to read a contract, and I will make sure that I read that contract before I sign it. I think that is one of the most important things you got to do when you are a leader for your nation, or if you're in any position of responsibility. One of the other issues that is connected to this is our enterprises. Our enterprises are supposed to be led by industry professionals, by industry experts, by people with high integrity. That's not the situation right now. We have people who are in these positions and are political appointees, and they've taken advantage of their access to all this funding, and they're not doing their job. And so those people have to be removed. Reforming hiring practices on the Navajo Nation is a very difficult task because we're faced with families, clanships, nepotism. That's literally ingrained in our culture, and it is used through k'e. So if you're trying to be polite, you're not going to get very far using k'e. You have to call people out. You have to stand by the laws for there to be progress. Right now, we don't have that in our judicial system. Our judges' vacancy rate is high. Our current elected officials, it's their job to vet these people and put them into those positions, and they have not. Yet they are still here asking for your support for their leadership. They've already failed you. So that's what I would do. Put people with good ethics, knowledge, professionalism into those positions. We need attorneys in those court judgeships, individuals who know how to follow the rules of evidence and not dismiss important cases connected to government corruption based on technicalities. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ellison. Mr. Russell, how will you improve communication and transparency between the Navajo Nation government and local city governments?
Yeah, I think for this question, well, the main thing we have to sit down at a table, although we have to talk to each other about what's going on off the reservation and on the reservation. Yeah, Belagana do nikid not under the lini, it under the pension zone. Ako hatida banda alteho edadi lis hatida salada nikid net today's. Ako tash under the pension zone. Ako di bayadis. Hitash adolito hatadorlis. Ados salad on lake kujer. The never kaya halit on kakado chato halita. Edadi lisa kodo at the never salad ehdat. Ar the koya the nesala. Adistir in a kinzatina slatin the nesala ehla. Ako 27,000 square miles. You get these in. Ako, we need help from the state, or the county, and the city. Ako, we can work together as one. Ako, the auto EMT workers, we can put them close to the reservation. They can come on to the reservation. All we have to do is sit down and talk to each other about this agreement. Halitado, little halitado, bayadadil, Adon dahan, and Adon lane dahan, and Adon on lane dahil. Chukadeta bandal, they had ojo bayat hita. Only days, it was Ani, Hashihot on the Hadil Tlaya. Akok Hotea, just right now, Hajo bayadil, this data center that are coming, Niketobayadil. We need to save our water. The data center, you said, Ton gets on Chidos, into Ton gets on those, to never torn Chidos, the hotel water rights, and need by a Chido, Asia, gets on to Uncle. All we have to do is talk to each other yet, off the city onto the reservation, have a collaboration together. That's the main thing. We'll sit down and get together and talk to each other about this whole thing to make it work. Don't die, don't need that. So all we gotta do is sit down to each other. I need to get not on in non that can eat chido. What I be do die or no none now do need that. I don't hear.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. Chi.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chi, how will you strengthen the nation's ability to negotiate energy agreements with states, utilities, and private companies?
Thank you for that very, very critical and important question. As a nation, our language is one of the pillars of being a sovereign nation. Having a culture, having a land base, gives us that unique perspective to be a sovereign nation. We never should cease to negotiate from our strength. Bilgana kachiyat kito bilgana ajdil ido ajil khato aj quis zajaniko khajikhat neb zado besod zendo bikayahit ihiki obets ajnt iko khojote jitne thigo ebinado satit neta khode ye shishat khada holnadi bilgana kashido yo yashtkita khoeshan das ajojnigo nat ani jil. We should never negotiate from our weakness, but rather our strength. Once we run to the other side and say, I am schooling, just because somebody is not speaking English doesn't mean they're educated or non-educated. Just because somebody got college degrees doesn't mean they're educated. They're literate in that culture, that society over here. So as a sovereign nation, we can totally resort back to our Navajo-ness. Have you heard of the code talkers that won the Pacific War? They created a language. Ado yesin hastuido sani do da iltha da dabato nena. A man, a person could be well educated in any language and any culture. So this comparison, this perception that we create is not healthy for society, but to say and to honor differences, that even the way people dress, even our accent, people will always downgrade me. I have this old cowboy has earned several college degrees through the years and became a teacher for a quarter of a century, raised 3,000 to 4,000 young people in this region. And I always tell them that never be apologetic for being Navajo. Never apologize from where you come from. You come from a land that is so desolate to certain people, but in your mind, in your heart, we are the hardiest people that have inhabited this for years, hundreds of years. You know, my mom and dad never had one day of formal schooling. My grandparents had never had a day of formal schooling, but yet they were the most complicated, the most sophisticated thinkers and speakers of the native language. And Navajo is the most difficult language to learn in this world. So we should always negotiate from our language and our world perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chi. Mr. Dayesh. Mr. Dayesh, how will you expand access to capital, training, procurement opportunities for Navajo-owned businesses?
Here, I'll give it back to you. All righty. That's on my platform. And the reason it's on my platform is I'm a former business owner. And I'm going to tell you, I suffered for 4 years trying to get it off the ground. And when you talk about negotiations, I was a contracting officer for the United States government. And I negotiated multi-billion-dollar contracts with multi-million-dollar organizations. We sent spacecraft from here into space. You only had one chance to get it right, and we were able to do those sorts of things. So when you ask that question as a business owner, small business owner, I think that's the cornerstone, the backbone of any economy. So the Navajo Nation has a lot of Navajo citizens that can do a lot of different things, positive things. They make jewelry. You just heard some of the things that we are capable of doing. You can employ them. I just told you we had transitioned from an open pit mine to an underground mine. Navajo people did that. We were able to negotiate and work with a multinational organization from down under. BHP, Australia. I successfully worked with them. So the things that we did, we were able to accomplish. And we started working with small businesses. We started working with small businesses on the Navajo Nation. We brought them in to supply different things that we needed to open this underground mine. And the technology associated with that has never been seen here on the Navajo Nation. And so we had to take the initiative to go out, train some of our Navajo citizens, and it came down to just getting a trailer, hook it to a truck so that you can supply equipment that we need so that we can move this organization forward. And when we did that, we were able to generate basic industry jobs. We have land, we have mining, we had manufacturing. So those are basic industry jobs associated with that. So one basic industry job equals 3 service sector jobs. So that's where I'm talking about all these small businesses coming in and helping us get it off the ground. And I was instrumental in doing that here in Farmington, in Shiprock. And in spite of how Farmington treated us, we came over here and we bought homes. So Navajos are kind people. You just heard the language is the cornerstone of everything that we do. So when we take our faith, our strength, nothing is impossible. And we can take this Navajo Nation to a level, to a new era without corruption and without lawsuits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daesh. Mr. Leiser.
Getting the golden question.
All righty. Okay. Mr. Leiser, so what is your plan to support Navajo farmers, ranchers, food sovereignty initiatives?
You want to take this one? Finally, a great one. Oh, I'm burning time. Our farmers, I think the Trump administration is doing a lot. He's sending a lot of money to the United States Department of Agriculture right now. We brought water to Eastern Agency using an NRCS grant. The Navajo Nation was awarded $25 million last October, and it just sat there, and we left the $25 million on the table. I shouldn't say we, this administration left $25 million on the table, and it was tied up on just trivial stuff like grant waivers, grant matching waivers. And so under a Leiser administration, we will make sure that we use all of the funding that's available to us. And to help our farmers, I think we ought to get with the Navajo Indian Irrigation Project, Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management, Bureau of Reclamation, and we need to have them finish Lot 9, Parcel 9 up there, and also to fully develop 10 and 11 like they said they would. Hold them to the fire, and if not, let's bring that under our auspice, under the Navajo Nation auspice, and let's develop feedlots. Let's make Navajo cattle strong. It had the great Navajo beef program, and it's renowned. It got noticed by other tribes, and they decided, hey, let's take our cattle over to 14R Ranch, and let's use their program. And they did, and there was so much success, they had to change the program from Navajo beef to native beef. And so under a Leiser administration, we want to stand our ranchers up real strong. We want to help with the food sovereignty, and we want to help NAPI, Navajo Agricultural Products Industry, be all they can be. They need a strong board that will help them develop economic development platforms so that they're not always coming to the Navajo Nation Council or, looking at the federal government. Let them allow them, Dave Zeller up there, to actually do business development. And so they're able to buy, I guess, what's the highest item right now? Fertilizer. All the fertilizer was very suspect recently when the war in Ukraine broke out. And so a lot of our fertilizer was coming from Europe, and so why can't we develop our own? So under a Leiser administration, we've already been working on it since I've left office, and we have a program ready to launch. Even if I don't win office, I think I'm still going to allow my ideas to help the Navajo Nation because they're all based on sound business development doctrines, principles, and also the opportunities that this present administration is giving us. So lastly, I just want to say that our farming sovereignty and food sovereignty is high on my priority list. But as I say that, we need to add jobs. We need to bring more revenue to the Navajo Nation. And so I think we'll hit on all cylinders. We'll bring in the right people, our people that are working and making other tribes wealthy right now. So we'll bring them home. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Leiser. Mr. Trio. Mr. Trujillo, the NTUA data center in Shiprock uses closed-loop cooling system that's very low water consumption. How will your administration ensure the future data centers follow the same low water model to protect our aquifers?
The idea looking at data centers is really how do you begin to look at opportunities in terms of creating jobs, creating opportunities for others, and having a diverse platform from which to develop that opportunity. Data centers, again, the technology is changing as quickly as they're building these things. Looking at the cooling, looking at the water usage, looking at the power that's generated. Again, these are opportunities that could bring our young people back home, which is one of my platform areas. How do we create jobs because we're losing our young people? The Navajo Nation grew by 100,000 people from 300 to 400,000. All that growth was off the reservation. The reservation lost population from 170,000 to 165,000. We got to bring our young people, our best and our brightest, back home. And that comes through job creation. Data centers are one way to do that. People continue to bring out the negativity about that, but yes, that's looking at previous technology. There's new technology. They're looking at smaller numbers or the size of these data centers. Still looking at 2 to 3 megawatt sizes, by which you could then generate tremendous amount of revenue from those, from which you can then build other things. Data centers are there to provide not only information, but power. And we're looking at how do we begin to diversify our capabilities. Because as we look at this in job creation, you know, I want to touch on what's been talked about before in economic development and partnership. That's what we need to do. That's what I've been doing with San Juan County and Farmington, to bring a railroad, a freight railroad from the I-40 corridor here, which will then open up customer bases across the country, even internationally, for this region and for the chapters going up and down the Cheska and Likachikai mountain range. Jobs, we can bring it. We can make it happen. We talk about all the negativity. We talk about all the missed opportunities. I want to focus on saying we can get it done. We have to. But the only way we can do that is to bring our best and our brightest back home. Begin to look to them to find those solutions. Bring diverse partnerships together, looking at our local municipalities, looking at the state, looking at federal government, looking at our chapters. Let's learn from one another. How can our chapters share in this economic development efforts? Let's talk to municipalities to see how they can grow and develop. So again, this is a start, but we need to build even more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Mr. Jones, what industries beyond energy do you believe that offer the strongest growth potential for the Navajo Nations over the next decade?
You repeat the question?
Okay. What industry beyond energy do you believe that will offer the strongest and growth potential for the Navajo Nation over the next decade?
Earlier, I answered a question concerning energy. And I was just thinking that when the microwave oven first came around, I showed that to my grandma, and I said, hey, so I threw a bread in there, and I did that, and it came, and it was hot. And immediately she said, that's what she said. What does that mean? Since the early 50s, we've been extracting coal. We've been extracting water. We've been blowing carbon into the air. We've been doing all of that. Yesterday, I was on Black Mesa. They have an aquifer that they can't even use anymore in so many places. The wells are dry. So today, here we are. We talk about water. We talk about coal. Why do we always have to drill and mine? Why do we always have to do that? And I think that's the threshold of where we're going with this and the point of this question. I believe under the Jones administrations, we have to explore other ways besides drilling and mining. That's what we have to do. It's not always going to be renewables as well. One of the things and one of the ideas that we have on our team is the fact that why not invest in real estate? Why not invest in buying land in Albuquerque, Buying land here in Farmington and leasing it out to the city. Buying land in Phoenix. Because that is, you don't have to drill for that. You don't have to mine for that. Now, we're going to have to invest in our own human resources. Why do we call it human resources? Resources is the fact that they have the capability to earn $1 and they put that dollar back into the gas station. They buy the coffee, they buy the gas, and the Navajo business owners, they get to provide that. That is the basis of economy, which is small business. That is the resources that are there. There's a complete revenue stream that's there. So Ebenina, today, honesty, digit ebich etahit jahabani kritikat equet ho ano daishin ado shantin dati no panig but at hollo hey. How many of the Navajo mine workers have black lung today? I know a lot on Peabody. So akut ago den khayat shik no senegi.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Chambers, what is your vision for expanding agricultural and food production capacity?
We do have a tribal entity, NAPI, but, more needs to be done. And so one of the things I think the Navajo Nation should have is international relations. So when we operate, we are a sovereign nation. So if we expand beyond the Navajo Nation and strengthen our international standing, our international relationships with foreign countries, friendly foreign countries, that we can sell our products and services to these countries. For example, we have Mexico, we have South America, we have Canada. So these partners are part of a greater alliance in e-commerce, e-trade. We have 2 major exports, one in LA and one in New York City. So if we position the Navajo Nation for these type of services and e-commerce activity, we can expand our products and services, not just for agriculture, it's for every product you can think of. So that's one way. The other way is growing our own food, our own commodity here on the Navajo Nation. We have land masses so great that it's there. So if we just try to bolster NAPI up here on top of the hill, we can expand those agriculture products and services into other countries. And I think that, and I had a conversation with NAPI CEO about this. And so, as president of the Navajo Nation, I think it is important that we understand where are these companies going? What is your strategic, plan for the Navajo Nation? I know they're separate entities from the Navajo Nation, but what exactly is the goal? What are we trying to achieve? So as president of Navajo Nation, that would be my questions for these tribal enterprises, specifically NAPI, about this, is what are we going and where are we going? So, and agriculture, I think, is very important because, we're going into an era where artificial intelligence is becoming more dominant. Technology is becoming more dominant. So, instead of growing food in the laboratory, we can grow this stuff ourselves and expand across the U.S., Navajo-owned products. That would be the plan because, if you think about it, the United States, we have a lot of grocery, we have thousands of stores, retail outlets across the United States, so we could explore all these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Ms. Curley, many Navajo homes still lack electricity, water, lines and broadband. What is your plan to accelerate utility connections across rural chapters?
Thank you again for that question. And I'm going to answer really quickly one of the questions that was answered here. 10 years, after 10 years, what other investment are we going to do other than energy? It is our children. You know, our children are the ones that are abindindalzil. They have the expertise, they have the education. However, we need to invest in our own Navajo entrepreneurs. We no longer do we need to look for outside non-Navajo businesses to come here to provide jobs. It has to be us. Give us a chance. Many of our Navajo families, our children are waiting for that opportunity to be invited back home and to provide businesses and that workforce. So, and that is a part of this answer that is here. When we look at our chapter funding comes from the economy that we bring back at home. When we shop back at Bashes, or if we shop back in Shiprock, or no matter where you are on the Navajo Nation, the gas. And all of those things we invest back in ourselves. However, we need that market. We need to boost that market up because many of those infrastructure funds are going to be coming from our own general funds. You know, we're looking into the next administration where there will be no ARPA dollars. You know, we're not going to have that assistance from the federal government. However, how can we expand, especially expanding our partnerships even in federal grants? You know, we should be able to have federal grant sections where we can partner up with different entities. Because I do come from a rural community where we still have lack of access to roads. You know, roads, we do need that federal advocacy for T-tip dollars, making sure we are competing with all of Indian country all the time when we're talking about roads, we're about water, about broadband. We need to have that equal opportunity because we need to rely back on our population. We are over 400,000 strong, and we should not be shortchanged on any investment that we see. And again, Kodo, City of Farmington, you know, be that answer as well because we invest so much into this city, we've grown it so much. You know, when are we going to see back that investment back in our communities? So that conversation does need to happen. However, it's going to take collaboration, working with our chapters and working with our investment and bringing revenue back home so the basic necessities can be there for our people. It's a basic human right that we should not be excluding our rural communities from these solutions.
Thank you, Ms. Curley. Mr. Gay. Mr. Begay, gaming generates significant revenue. How will you ensure more of that revenue reaches chapters and community programs?
As we know, we have, I think we have like 5 casinos on the reservation. But we don't know how much it's really generating, right? I mean, who knows? Can anybody answer that? The first thing is that we're going to figure out how much money we're actually making. And then from there, we'll know exactly where we're at with the gaming casinos. I know everybody goes there to eat, you know, and everybody goes there to get their free play, right? So, I mean, it's a situation where we need to know how much we're making to know how we're going to reinvest. And I really don't know who runs the casinos. And all I do is I go there, like everybody else, and the chapter does receive some funding. So the only thing we can do is sit down with the people from the casino and figure out where we really stand with these funds, and then put it back into the chapters, but we have to be specific on how we want those dollars spent. There's a lot of money that goes back to the chapters, but then it kind of disappears. So we have to be specific, and then we have to be able to have accountability if there's misappropriations, because that happens a lot. And even though it's specific, but then somehow they just allocate it to another program or a different direction. So we do have to keep an eye on all those dollars going to the chapters. So, yeah, so you have to be specific on what you want to do with the dollars that are going to the chapters, because a lot of times chapters are run by the people who are elected into that chapter. You have a lot of people who just look out for themselves or to their families, and that's not right. I know that happens a lot. So thank you very much for the question. Yeah.
All righty, a round of applause for the candidates. Thank you. I know it's a lot of your time, but we appreciate it. So this is your closing remarks before you get off the bus. We'll start with Ms. Ellison. You got 3 minutes, and we'll go down all the way to Mr. Begay. Thank you.
So prior to putting in my name for the presidential hat, I'm a full-time employee. I've got an 11-year-old son at home who's turned me into a coach. So I've coached soccer, basketball, and baseball. So I'm very familiar with arguing with a bunch of 10, 11-year-old boys. A couple of things that I do want to touch on is, despite our comments here and our wishes for our nation and our people, there's very limited amount of things that we can do because we have a trust relationship with the United States government. We don't own the land. We don't own the subsurface minerals that's down there. That can be taken away from us anytime. Our input, it's merely if it's convenient, okay? So that is a primary focal point. So that switches the issues into a different conversation. One of the candidates mentioned market and bringing food to the farmers. Well, when I was abroad in China, it was interesting to watch the US and the Chinese government argue. America said, we're not buying Chinese steel. Chinese steel said, okay, well, we don't need American tires. And then America said, well, we don't need Chinese chicken. And then the Chinese said, well, we don't need your soybeans. Well, look at all the industries that were affected because who was supplying what and who was demanding what. So as leaders, we have to be familiar with the economics of markets. So that was just another thing I wanted to touch on. The third thing is water. It's not on us Navajos or us Native people to watch our consumption. We are one of the most conservative water usage people in the entire planet. It is on the people that are out there with their golf course, with all these unnecessary things in a desert. So the goal for our water is to build the Navajo water infrastructure and use as much as the average American does. Right now, we're probably about 50 gallons a day behind each individual usage. So I just want to express some of my thoughts and what I bring to the table as a candidate. As you can see, there's a lot of things to consider. So again, thank you for putting this forum together, and have a good day.
Yat to each other. Kida cut. That's God. At anybody saying I couldn't just catch you. Chalcastinia. The casino by the key, Shamalata, but Bahasan. Curly. The Quila beso ich casino that ding casino on the nebakaya haloni the quila ich na how much revenue does the casino make? Aro shilpahas and doate don hida heshin lapita dit belagana do na kalijini do that's osida heshin dape don hida ako doni Sunray the house lita Sunray Casino economic development. It'd be 100% owned by Navajo Nation. I could have hated based on logic and data. I don't have a buffet line, everything. We'll bring him in. That is called after the pandemic buffet is closed. We'll be the first to open back up. We'll bring him back in. Although they not on has tani, you know, yada kid up is dabazad. Oban just kitler in this nitlia. Sagah Janet na say transha haita the nebet zil na but kaya bet zil na later and that English job at zil na sil what it's in there. Kaden ton kit zil the yao on dan kita just cut. Although Eastern Agency ha at that I by a street ha you summons the one has kind of but has an Eastern Agency. A call kaya had so checkerboard. Dat ieder slitsen zijn door nabi gaat aan als zoals nadje door die aan nadje ja. Aro ik de kaisen na dan kitchen da kadandis ni. All the paperwork. I need a paperwork by it here. They don't want to collaborate with Eastern Agency. We have so many different land status in here yeah. What could you tell you be in BIA, BLM and all that allotted land everything. Aro kaya by it here. Chaco Canyon AI you say Benago, Chaco Canada, Benas, it's already protected. Benago, Transatina, Slatino, Transatino, Slatino, Dint, the meal and Sakaya, the Nebekaya, A Bashin, Hagelashik Edo, Natal Sambayestia. A cookie's on it's on each that I guess Bada Hashkando, watch where you vote. I don't have Johnny Russell, number 14.
Okay, nadan hidit nido hinanishta holon the kona hiso trado the chinchin bikela na hiso tra a heha kota na hat an hidis ado benache konhano yagi ba hinsen. Then I deeply appreciate all the organization that went into this to provide a moment and time to express some of our concerns, our issues. Let's be real, folks. The reality of life is this, that there are systemic racism that are in place for generation. How do we break that? From our end as Navajo people, we are prejudiced to some degree. We go across, Hispanic people have some prejudice attitudes. Bilganas have it. No wonder Malcolm X back in the 60s said this to his own people that got him killed over at the theater in New York. He said, the white man has convinced you that your pie is in the sky while he's eating his. That persistent thought is still here, is how do we recognize when there's injustice? No wonder the scripture says, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. That is applicable to any leadership. Whether it's Navajo or non-Navajo, we need to do justice. We need to love mercy and seek and humbly walk with our Creator. Those are the things that, to me, makes us better human beings. Are we willing to pursue that as leaders and become the watershed for any nation and any government? And, I love this quote. Today is a good day to fight. Today is a good day to die. By Crazy Horse over 100 years ago. Today is no different. Today is a good day to express leadership qualities and say, I'm willing to die today trying to do justice for people, all people, not just Navajo people. And I think that's what our hearts are yearning for. Give me hope by your leadership. Give me some sense of clarity and permanency in my lives today. And my mother said this on her deathbed. Son, do you think there's water in heaven? There's a deep theological question she was asking as a Christian. United States, supposedly the richest country in this world, cannot afford basic infrastructure to their indigenous people and country. And she was very concerned, if I go here and there, will there be water out there? And that is a deep question that we're asking is, how much of this are we willing to provide? And so I don't promise you much, but I will promise you that I will protect my people. Thank you.
I'm Frank Dace Jr., position number 6. If you want to find out more information about what we're about, www.daesh2026.com. Or you can call us, 505-862-9066. You can email us, daesh2026@gmail.com. There are 2 things that we're really concerned about. One of them is stability. We want to bring stability back to the Navajo Nation. Today, there's confusion. Today, they're disoriented. They tied up the government with lawsuits. And so what we want to do is go back in there and calm things back down. We want to bring a government, everything that we talked about up to this point can't be done. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm the only one that's up here that's been a CEO for a major organization twice. And I've worked that. And when you take a look at that, you find out that the first thing you do is you take a look at the organization. What is wrong with it? Well, in this case, it's broken. The system is broken. Everything that we talked about, we can't get it moving in the system that we have today. So we need to fix it first. We need to stabilize it. When I talk about stabilization, I've been with my wife since we were 18 from high school. So that says a lot about stability. So we want to be a part of the Navajo Nation to move it forward. We want to bring hope to the Navajo Nation. We want to bring and instill and encourage our young people to come back to the Navajo Nation, to get them engaged. And also our citizens that live here, our urban Navajos. We want to bring them back to the Navajo Nation so that they can help us move this whole nation forward in a positive fashion so that we can succeed. Now, one of the things that we're against, I'm going to tell you, number 1 is stabilization. Number 2 is AI. We don't want data centers here on the Navajo Nation. I'm going to tell you why. It takes a lot of water, even though NTUA snuck it in here in 2016. And they built it and they started running it. And they're selling it by saying we're using a little bit of water. No, they're not. They're using water. They're still using water. They use a lot of electricity. So that information that they store in there is stored and they consider it theirs. Not just NTUA, but any data center. They've taken our religious artifacts. They've taken our religions, our song, and they stored it all in there and they think it's theirs. So intellectual property, we need to continue to fight for that. So those are the 2 main things that we're concerned about. Again, Frank Dace Jr., position number 6. Thank you.
I want to thank you for the time. Thank you, Four Corners Clean Energy, for this great, I guess it's a debate, right? We're debating on who's got the best plan. I believe I have the best plan. No, plain and simple. Plain and simple, no doubt, no doubt. Aren't you tired of the fractional feuding that's happening at our capital right now? I have a plan that will advance us. We are the largest tribe, largest land base, 227,000 square miles, largest membership, 427,000 tribal members. In CAI, there's a reason why we're not part of National Congress of American Indians. It's because we have our own attorneys. We have our own, what should amount to be an embassy in DC that lobbies for us. We have attorneys that are on retainer into the hundreds. It's like, why don't we put them to work with better plans that will help our people develop more revenue, bring jobs? Some of my colleagues up here said that, you know, we need to bring home the right people. Let's do it in-house. We're not ready. We're not willing, and we're not able, which tells me that we don't have the right players working for our Navajo people in Window Rock. With the Lizer administration, we will make sure we become ready, we become willing, and we become able. We want to develop a sovereign bank that we will call our own. You, Shedineh, you will be shareholders in this bank. There will be dividends being paid out by all of the projects that we will invest in. I wish Farmington was still here because we don't need anything from you. In fact, you'll be begging to partner with us on those right projects. Under a Lizer administration, we're going to move and shake like we've never shaken before. And we're going to advance a lot of the things that we want to work on. Right now, President Trump is talking about a new housing bill. I hear from the veterans. I hear from our elders. I hear from everybody. I want a house. I want to live on the Navajo Nation. Well, right now is our opportunity because of this housing bill. Japan is jumping in on this. They want to build homes for anybody that needs a home. And so I'm saying, why can't the Navajo Nation? We are sovereign. Let's use our sovereignty for the right reasons. Let's advance the Navajo Nation like we've never done before. And I believe under the Lizer administration, we will do that. The power of AI is dominating, as Alex Chambers has said, and he's right. AI is dominating. Data centers is dominating. Why can't Navajo develop the power that's going to power these data centers? True, if we're not going to put it on Navajo because of the water thing, I get it. But let's provide the power. And when the Trump administration announces $700 million for coal advancement, Navajo Intech owns 4 coal mines. Why can't we let our coal workers excel the way they used to in the past? All of the power plants now are new technology power plants. They've got buffers, they got scrubbers, and I tell you, they could release a lot of the burden that we have in economic development. 3 seconds. God bless you.
Again, I got a vision. And that vision is looking at stability of the Navajo Nation. I led the Division of Natural Resources. I've seen the type of productivity that our employees can produce. I named off some of the projects that we did. We built a hotel at Monument Valley. We expanded highways. We kept mines open. We negotiated water rights. We negotiated energy development projects. We did all these things as a team. I was there to help develop them. I was here to help to encourage them. We began to work together, and we achieved what many people told us was impossible. You'll never build a hotel at Monument Valley. You'll never expand those highways. You'll never get water rights. But that just fueled the power behind us. So I look for stability, bringing our branches together, because that's how we got those projects done. The council knew about it. Did they completely support me in the beginning? No. But we debated, we talked, we found common ground, and we made it work. We got results. The people, we worked with them. We brought service delivery back through the Division of Natural Resources. I had people answering the phone saying, "May I help you? Can I help you? How can I help you?" We looked at ways to track that, making sure that our people were being serviced. But most importantly, I'm looking at creating jobs. How do we create those jobs? We're looking at, right now, I'm looking at a project, bringing a railroad here to the Four Corners region. That will open tremendous opportunities, not only for the Four Corners area, but all along the mountain range, getting our chapters involved in economic development. Looking at how we can begin to do that. I bring that experience. I can bring diverse stakeholders together. I can make them work. You know, it's been mentioned about the underground efforts in San Juan mine. I was the one that helped design that underground mine. And so again, those are things that I got. I heard about community benefits agreements. We were the first ones to approach the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, and they began to talk to us about benefits agreements back in 2002. I've got the history. I know where to go and who to talk to. So that's what I bring to the Navajo Nation for you, for your benefit, so that you can be a part of the American dream, so that we can begin to prosper, not only as a nation, but also as individuals. Arvin Trujillo, position 3.
We've been hearing this same rhetoric for the past couple of forums. I did this, did ishla, quista, kotahotza, hanobana alte. These individuals held offices before. These individuals were in those positions to make these changes. We are still at the same place we were 30, 40 years ago in so many ways. Chahosh eya akot out eya etolnil. Chahosh eya ekwegidik nijwonego bayata tigi yidil tselnitzen. Shiwinsen. Hanzatot otate tlgao devan sikes. Ebeni nago sitet ado inskindande. An de khat edashton nidigi. O bigat inid. Hakoshilla. It has to be you and I, not just I, you and I. We talked about economic development. The backbone and foundation of economic development is the small businesses. It is the mom and pop shops that are there. What is preventing us? The Navajo Nation Business Opportunity Act has been in place for years. The Navajo Nation Procurement Act has been in place for years. The Navajo Nation Preference and Employment Act has been in place for years. But why is it that these guys back here are still talking about the same thing? Because we are not enforcing it. We need to change the tax structure of the Navajo Nation to support business. Right now, we pay 6% right off the bat. That is not pro-business. We also have to go through volumes of regulation just to create a business. That's not pro-business. We are not even investing in you. Our children, they get degrees, they come back, they go to the Navajo Nation. What do we tell them? You're not qualified. And this is the most asinine part about it. You're overqualified. Let's give these guys a shot. If we don't even give them a shot, how are they supposed to have experience? And we have to get away from this fossil fuel, this and that. Now, okay, so we have to get away from some of the most asinine business processes that we've developed so far. Take the casinos. We're not making any money. We're losing money. We're running these casinos off of your backs. Number 8.
Didi ya ah lenegi di koshi ya hat zegi joan ni gute khaosh ni de nahat idil tselya ahot ahandi ahot al nyelos even 50 years ago was like that ya shidi ani nahat ani de enchle you know dide lenegi al be di lelya nahat ayat ehgi nahat ani di bendi zil jo what are they yat nahdot lil what are they need the bit the hand di kaya jo you know we've been hearing the same old rhetoric for I don't know how long ahut aya ahande howanadaten ahande thoraten ahande dit atsentleshadaten ahande nebich in the has ya it's the same thing over and over. It's a broken system. And at the same time, you know, nye teneno senigi nkahayosna. And you know, at the level, and every part of the Navajo Nation, they forgot about you. You don't exist. They see beyond that. Okay. And a lot of these tribal enterprises, just like the casino, like he said, their annual report, we don't see it. We don't see their numbers. We don't see how much these tribal enterprises make. So the alternative is let's elect new leadership. The alternative is going in a new direction. The alternative is taking that first step. You as voters, let us rise up to the occasion and make that change happen on July 21st. Again, my name is Alexander Chambers, position number 8.
Oh, yat nana shike. Ado she Crystal and Curly nashke. Ado le ke de dai nilo esata. I am position 16. Ado kodo anidi baho zi. You know, let me make some things clear. When a president is not obeying the laws, when the president continuously does not have collaboration, when you have an attorney general that is in there that is not fighting for you, but fighting for one person's interests, there is something wrong. So, doing lawsuits. You know, that is one way to keep a president accountable. That is one way to keep your division directors accountable. One thing that I have not heard up here is putting that integrity and honesty back into the office of the president and vice president. Because I go through it every day. You know, there has to be collaboration to work together. You know, at times, President Nigrin is not even here today. You need a president that will be willing to show up, that is having confidence to go into uncomfortable spaces. You don't need 40 plus staff. You don't need 5 plus officers. You know, those are types of small steps that we need to take within the office of the president and vice president. That honesty, that integrity, that ability to say, because we don't have that right now. So, yes, it is important to keep our people and our president accountable. You know, those are the real issues that I go through face to face. And that is one of the reasons why I put in my scarf into the hat and said, okay, but we do need to have solutions. But we are talking here about economic opportunity. It is our children. That is plain and simple. That is the answer. You know, we need to bring our children back home to provide these opportunities for them. It is our children. We had to be able to give hope and that healing back into our government. You know, we are leaders of our home. We have to think of our government as that. We have to straighten it. Being able to think not just for 4 years or 8 years, but making a change that will last a lifetime for them. Being able to provide that future for our people. July 21st,
Yad Nana. I have to disagree with Justin Jones' platform here. What he wants to do, I mean, he said this on social media. You can disagree, you know, but just say it to when he's here. So anyway, he wants to do a blanket termination. He wants to fire everybody and put his people in. Okay? In the corporate world, it's called hostile takeover. Okay? And for one thing, when hostile takeover happens, you know, people aren't going to stand for it. The first thing that is going to happen is the council is going to start filing litigation. So we're going to be caught in a gridlock between the executive and the legislative branch. That's what's going to happen. We're already in the gridlock right now. We can't even get water. We can't even get housing. We can't even get roads. So that's what's going to happen with that administration. So it's going to create a nation of litigation. We're going to get stuck. Okay? I think this election is about trust and productivity. We don't have trust right now. We don't have productivity right now. We're all waiting for homes. We're all waiting for water. So that's a big problem that we have. So basically, this election has to do with who are you going to trust with your money? I mean, it's your money. Those billions of dollars out there that they're talking about, $10 billion that they want to get at. It's your money. But how much of it are you going to see? You're barely going to see any of it. But you know what? The person that you elect, they're going to do well. They're going to put their own people in. They're going to put their own families in. And that's going to be the truth. While you're still trying to sell on side the road, start selling your clothes on side the road. But my proposal is to start doing infrastructure, like tourism infrastructure. Try to put money back into that. So we're a people of Hajo. You guys know that. We want peace. We don't want litigation. But you know, if there's a fight, we're going to do it. So we want peace. Our grandparents we just want service. So that's what this election is about. It's about trust. I think I'm the person for you. Shalom.
Thank you for the spirited conversations. Thank you all for coming this evening. We have until 8:30 this place, so you're welcome to hang around. We are told that 8:30 you'll be locked in until the morning, so make sure, keep an eye on your clocks. Again, a round of applause for these candidates. Thank you so much. And you guys as well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Akea.